So before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that Brian's audio was clicking a little bit and making a little bit of crackly noises. We got that fixed halfway through the podcast, but hopefully you enjoy hearing me interview Bryan Drake, and thanks so much for watching Spaces Between. Let's get to it. Welcome to Spaces Between. This is your host, Roy Canday, and this is a podcast about bringing gamers closer together. This week, my special guest is Bryan Drake. What's going on, man?
Not a lot. How's everything going with you guys?
Going super awesome. So yeah.
Sorry. I couldn't resist.
Brian's immediately doing magic tricks.
Yeah.
So
sorry. I found it. It was here. I had to.
That's awesome. I mean, we were talking like a little bit before we started that every time Tom brings you something, he's like, Bryan, you have to do a magic thing here, a magic thing there. And you just do it on demand. Like, it's great.
Yeah, it is. We did board game breakfast at one time, and it was like, hey, what do you think about do a trick now? I was like, oh my God.
And you're like, listen, this was a mentalism trick the whole time. I made you say do a trick now. There you go.
As it happens, look in your right shoe. There's nothing there. That would have been awesome. That would have been amazing.
I remember that like old like David Blaine like thing where it's just like, oh my goodness, stop putting things on us, David Blaine. So
call your mom at home. Tell her to open up your yearbook. So funny, man.
Exactly. Is that where you got inspiration to start magic, honestly?
Truthfully, I've always been interested as a kid, but I really started getting into card magic because of the David Blaine TV specials. Yeah, everybody was like, this is amazing. You don't have to do the same old school tricks that everybody's been doing. You know, hey, I'm going to lay out 21 cards. You tell me which row your card is in. And that's one of the things. I know you didn't ask me this question, but I'm going to answer it anyway. People at a show, they're like, hey, can I show you a card trick? And I love seeing people show me card tricks. And so I've practiced a response when people show me the 21 card trick where they lay out, you know, there's 7, 7, and 7. Like, tell me what row your card is in. And when they do it again, tell me what row your card's in now. I bet this is your card. It's not the best trick, but I've steeled myself and my resolve to be like, that was good stuff. I appreciate you showing me that, you know, in a good way, in a nice way, because there's only so many tricks you learn as a kid. And
right.
There's a whole other world there.
So doing all like this magic stuff, has it kind of like ruined magic for yourself? Like you're never shocked? Is it, I mean, for me, it's like now that I edit videos, like I see editing things. It's like, okay, they edited this that way and did that way. I mean, since you're so tied in with the magic thing, do you just see a trick and you're like, I know how that one works? Yeah,
it does. It kind of pares things down a lot into what you really enjoy. So they're we're not the best in the world. I'm not saying it like that, but because and here's the other big secret behind the secrets. There's not that many tricks. There's not that many secrets in magic. There are certain sleights that you do with your hands, certain pieces of misdirection, certain bits of psychology that you do. It just depends on how you put those into a routine and how you build your script and all that around it. So when you see something that's truly like astonishes you still, that's what's really amazing. There's a guy by the name of Danny De Ortiz. We just saw his show recently at a conference in Vegas, and it was like, my head exploded. I'm sitting right there using my deck of cards. Craziest stuff I've ever seen. So when you get that experience as a magician, it's very, very, very cool because it's like I say, it's next level because it's stuff you've never even heard of before. You know, and you've heard of a lot of concepts, but you know.
Wait, so you're saying like magic isn't actually real?
Yeah, I should clarify. Unfortunately, it's not real. Not in the slightest, as it were. If it was, I would just make money.
I just played a game of Mansions of Madness, and we had to stop some evil cultists, and there was magic like a brewing. I feel like maybe you're in with some crazy stuff going on, and that's why you're able to do all this stuff.
There's a good chance that Benny's probably based that around our real life experience.
Awesome, man. Well, I know you're like a huge fan of a lot of like the Arkham games and all that stuff.
Yeah, love them.
Like, what draws you into those sort of games, man?
I honestly, it's weird. I don't even know when I started loving the Lovecraft mythos stuff. Like, because I'm pretty sure it was before I started playing games. Because I remember reading Call of Cthulhu and stuff like that. a few years before we got into gaming. But it's one of those memories that I've lost. I don't remember how it happened. Like,
Yeah.
I think maybe it was just one of the earliest games we played was Mansion's first edition.
Uh-huh.
And I loved just the whole idea. And so because it was tied into Mythos, I just started looking at the other games around it, like, you know, all the Corey Kaniska and Nikki Valens and all those kind of games that were out there in the Fantasy Flight stuff. And they're just done so well. Obviously, the complaint that people have is they're all pretty similar, but it doesn't bother me. It's just one of those, like, I guess it's my blind spot that I purposely choose to have because it doesn't bother me. I enjoy all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess it is that era. It's that cosmic horror stuff. You know, it's a lot like spoiler. It's a lot like It. You know, the capital IT It. It's like that. You know, you get that cosmic horror. These things you don't quite understand. It's the next level removed from Japanese horror where you don't understand and you never get the explanation. And you're still terrified for years to come. Like, that TV just turned on, bro. I'm just saying.
So, in these games, do you always play as Dexter Drake, or?
Well, here's the thing. This is the sad confession: is I don't play as Dexter in Mansions of Madness because I don't like his power that much.
So you're like a min-maxer. You're like,
yeah. I'm like, give me that character who's got a cane. His power is pretty good. I don't care what he can do. I just like him because his cane looks vicious and he's got a good power. But yeah, that's the thing. I think he gives you a spell when you use a spell or something like that. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
But spells are cool in that game.
Well, I love the spells, but here's the problem. Anytime I plan my strategy around having a spell, it's like, hey, you found a knife, you found a scalpel, you found this. It's like, when am I going to get to use this flesh ward? I'm never going to get to use flesh ward. It's an investigation thing. It's really not the game's problem. It's my problem is what this is.
You're just trying to min-max it too much.
That's it. That's what it is. I just want to win, and we've only ever won clean.
Really?
We won the train mission clean once. It's the only time where we got the good ending, not the, hey, you survived, but everyone you tried to save was slaughtered. Mm-hmm.
Wow, you guys must just be picking up every single thing that is on the board.
Well, we've won many missions, but it's usually and the young girl you went to save was slaughtered by the beast, but you left with your sanity. This time with the train when it was like, you saved the day, you got cocktails in the train bar afterwards, and you all had a jolly good time on the way back to Arkham. It was like, wow, we've done really well.
I feel like I've played through most of them and done decent on a lot of them. There's some of them that I've failed. But I also think they have like alternate endings too. Like it's like, oh, you didn't find out the thing, but then the monster awoken and you killed the monster, so then you win. That sort of thing.
I'll do that on an airplane. I'll sit there after we lose, and if we're flying the next day, I'll be like, what would have happened? And I'll start the mission up and just like touch a bunch of stuff and try to figure it out. And yeah, there are tons of times where it's like, that's not at all what we picked. There's one mission that we still can't be, and we played it multiple. It's the one from the original 5 missions. It's the one where you're the star spawn is in the house or the walls keep attacking you or something.
That one's rough.
It's so hard, but you know, it's what happens. Everybody dies, and we all go insane. So.
Yeah, there's several different ones that are tough. I don't know, which ones do you prefer? Because there's some that are just straight up like questioning people and lots of dialogue and flavor text, and there's some where there's lots of combat and beating up on bad guys. Which do you think you prefer in your Mansions of Madness game?
I like the ones that you have to kind of actually solve a mystery versus versus some of the earlier ones where it's a mystery, but it's more of a mystery in the sense that once you play through, your characters solve the mystery. I like the ones where us as players have to come together and be like, I think it's that person. So the one on the there's one that you actually have to, it tells you to take notes or whatever like that. And the other one, you played the one on the cruise because I was gone. I missed it. The one, there's a hidden role. I love that kind of stuff. That's fantastic. But I think I like the investigation ones a little bit better as long as there's a good hook to keep you in from like, all right, I'm going to talk to this person again. My next turn, I'm going to talk to this person. I failed. I'm going to talk to him again. You know, you spend 6 turns talking to somebody.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man. Yeah, I like the deduction ones and stuff like that a lot, but I feel like if there's just no combat in the entire thing, then I get slightly disappointed. I'm like, but I had this briefcase I could have hit somebody over the head with. But
I started with 6 shotguns and there's no monsters at all.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe there would have been a twist if we did worse in the game. Like, I played one where I was literally just questioning people the whole time and then trying to figure out the answer at the end. And it's cool that there's scenarios like that. But I was just like, I wanted to get into it because I had a character that wasn't very good at lore. They had a high strength. I normally try not to pick characters like that, mostly for this reason. But I was just like, I felt nerfed the whole game because my character was not good at talking to the people. So...
like you pulled out a weapon and hit them over the head. Why won't they trust me anymore? I don't understand.
There was a chance to intimidate someone, and someone else was talking to him with a low strength. I'm like, no, I'm going back to that room because I swear I have strength, and it's making us do a strength roll. I'm going to be there to do that. But
I like that though about games in general. And this is a different game, but it's one of these. It's what I call the Apple expansion effect, where you're, as opposed to like, oh, we made a tweak to this, it's, hey, here's a new feature that is basically the same system with some stuff bolted on in a really smooth way. So like, have you played Chronicles of Crime?
I have not actually played it, but I kind of know what it is a bit.
I really dig the system. It's pretty neat. You know, the whole, you're scanning, you're trying to investigate. Well, each expansion that comes out adds one, and they're not modular, so you can't play Noir and Welcome to Redview, but each one you play adds different mechanics that weren't in the original. So it feels a little bit like Time Stories in the sense that, like in this last one, there's skill checks where there was not skill checks at all. There's not even a mechanic for skill checks in the original. So that's what I like about Mansions. What I like about that is that as the expansions go, it gives you a deeper sense of flavor that feels like it's part of the original game, but it adds, a totally different element. Rolling dice for skill checks in a game that's about investigating is nice to have when you weren't expecting it. That's what I like about Mansions, is the way the missions keep coming out, they're able to do stuff like that.
Yeah. It's
up there. Carla has the shelf in her top 100 right now, and it's number 2, spoiler, right now behind Scythe, for game Mansions inside of her 1 and 2.
Do y'all put your games on your shelves in order of your favorite?
We did, so she could get her thoughts for writing down, because we were going to do our whenever we do our top 100 for this year, we're going to do it together like that. And she was like, I'm just going to put them in the shelf. So it's an ugly looking shelf right now, because like I feel like Raccoon Tycoon and Railroad Rivals should touch, and they're not, and it bothers me because they both have the red box. None of the Lookout games are touching, and that drives me absolutely crazy.
Does that mean that if you don't own a game, it's not allowed to be in your top 100?
Yes, we don't even create a spot for it.
Oh man,
no, Rising Sun is in there. We just don't own Rising Sun. Our buddy's got it, and so we're like,
it's good enough to make it in there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, speaking of that, I'm really excited about Ankh for that matter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that was cool.
I had a lot of fun because for this year, that was announced at the Dice Tower live show, and Tom messaged everybody and was like, all right, send Roy an email. I don't want to know about any of these things. So like I got this email. I had been bugging Eric Lang. I was like, dude, you have to announce something amazing at our show. And he's like, we'll try. He was downplaying it. He knew what he was doing the whole time. Yeah, he was messing with me. He's like, maybe we'll announce something cool or whatever. Probably won't be able to do what we want to do, but blah, blah. And so then he sent me a message like, listen, don't tell anybody about this. And then somebody else emailed me from CMON and was like, this better not leak. You're the only person that knows. And I'm like, okay. And then they sent me the files to put in the PowerPoint. I'm just like,
This is great.
But yeah. And I was like, I'm the only one outside of CMON that knows. So if it ever leaks, they know it was me, and I'm just ruined for the rest of my life. CMON has that they're on the Chinese stock exchange. I'm pretty sure there's assassins over there that could just take me out.
Right. Well, you just do a fake watermark. Be like, this is like Ted Stupinski from accounting. Like that's his copy of the. Just to make up a fake person, and they'll never know. They'll think it's some guy in their accounting department who leaked it. He'll get fired. Sorry for his family, but you'll be safe.
Goodness, magicians' minds are scary. That's all I gotta say.
Weird, tricky like that.
Awesome, man. So for you, like when you game, is it really about story and stuff like that, or is it just all sorts of different things?
It's weird because if I'm playing like an Ameritrash Arkham type game, I want that story to be great. I want it time stories. I loved time stories. Let me just say, I'm kind of
especially the first one for sure.
Yeah, the first one was that moment in game where we were just like, it was incredible. And then some of the other ones were able to kind of bring us close to that same moment. I'm gonna talk about the ending another time. But anyway, but we also love Euros, and so it could. Yeah, I just at that point I'm not. Well, I'll tell you what. A good example. I do actually like the story and theme. Anachrony. You played Anachrony?
I know what it is, but I haven't.
It's a fantastic worker placement game. Time travel rules
right.
Like that.
And you can get resources from the future, but you have to pay it back, sort of thing.
Yeah, if you did that in any other system, it would just be called a loan. But the fact that they're calling it time travel just works, and for some reason you get sucked in and you buy it. I mean, it is a loan. You're literally borrowing, and you have to pay it back. But because they call it time travel, and because it works so well, your brain just buys it and you go with it. And so I love that when we can play games. So I like to carry on, even though I'm terrible at explaining it. Any of those kind of worker placement games that have that feeling, or like the new Brass, they suck me in because of the art. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a big guy when it comes to theme and art, even in Euros and stuff like that. But I will play the blandest of bland. I will play those too.
Gotcha. So you have like a pretty good range overall of like the type of games you're into. Sure.
And probably my favorite two are on the Ameritrash side, though. I think my top two games for me personally are TI4. I'd say 4 now, just because it's the new. It's what we use. I mean, I love 3.
I love 3 too.
3. I love it so much, and 4 is just great because it's it's what you use now. It's kind of like when you upgrade to OS X or something like that.
Yeah, it's like there's still some things in 3 that I kind of miss a little bit that I wish that they'd like bring into 4. But 4 is just so much more streamlined and so much easier for me to just throw down and teach people that it's just like I can't go back. So.
That's the thing about 4. I think that probably is, to me, the thing that stops you from going back is the fact that the tech tree, even though I did like the old school tech tree, I just love that you need 2 of these symbols to get this kind of card. That's so much easier than like, what do I need next, Yeah. And in Western Legends is one of my other favorite games, like top 5. I'll say that.
I love. I was talking to the Colossal about it. I was like, there needs to be more sandbox-y style games. And I'm like, I don't really mean like completely open world sandbox like Minecraft or actual like Grand Theft Auto. But what I mean is like, I want a game where it feels like you're running around playing the game how you want to play it and still being successful, I mean, that's what Western Legends and games like Xayah kind of let you do. I love Xayah. Have you played Xayah?
Just got Xayah. No, but there's a friend of mine who's got it in our area now, and so I'm really pumped. He got some version with painted miniatures. I didn't know if that was
they all come with painted miniatures. Every last one comes with painted miniatures and metal coins. Every last one.
Yeah, I need to play that because it looks incredible. And he was just showing me all the different things you can do. I was like, I got to play.
I hadn't played in a while, but at the Dice Tower retreat, it was like super late at night, and I was like, I had played Outer Rim or whatever with some people the night before, and I was like, man, Outer Rim's fine and it's kind of cool, and I mean, I like Star Wars, but it felt kind of limiting in what I could do. I was like, I really want to bust out Xayah because I love that game. So I busted out, and we only played like a 5-point game, but I taught 3 other new people how to play the game, and they're like, oh my goodness, we're bringing this out tomorrow and playing a longer point game. And it just gives you that same sort of feel of running around the universe doing whatever you want to do, whether it's gathering cubes on this planet and dropping them off on that planet to get some money, or, oh my goodness, there's the outlaw, I better run away from him, or basically the smuggler guy or whatever. And then like, oh man, here come the police. I shouldn't have stolen those goods from that other planet. Now I'm in trouble, so the police are chasing after me. And then on the flip side, it's like, oh man, my buddy to my right or my left or whatever just got hit by an asteroid. They're kind of weak right now. I can get a couple points if I just blast them out of the sky.
Skim off that, yeah.
So, and I actually did a lot of work on the expansion for that as well. I did a lot of the playtesting and the solo mode and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm pretty attached to that game.
I love that concept. I'm like you. I wish there were more things like, again, you don't want to just saturate the mark because they're probably really hard to make. I had the same thoughts about Outer Rim. I enjoyed Outer Rim a lot. I lost miserably at Outer Rim. But my biggest gripe with Outer Rim is the fact that because it is that cool Outer Rim board, I don't know if you get dealt cards, you have starting cards, I can't remember, but what I needed to do was way over here, and I was way over here, and I just couldn't get my speed up to move, and I was like, this is miserable trying to get all the way over there to get to the objective.
Yeah, we got to a point where I was trying to push my luck a little bit and try to attack like a ship that I had to try to go through a ship that didn't like me. I didn't have favor with or whatever. So they were attacking me. I had to fight them. I rolled bad, and my ship blew up. And then apparently we're looking through the rules, and it's like, oh no, once your ship blows up, you get back up, and since you're in the space with the bad guy, then you have to fight him again, and then my ship blows up again. So now I'm laid back over, and I'm just like, I skipping turns in a game is I mean, there shouldn't be mechanics that make you skip turns anymore.
Especially a race-based game like that, where you're racing to get to the end. You know, it's not.
I feel like
the game is here.
I feel like skipping turns is kind of like that player elimination sort of thing, where it's an antiquated thing, where it's like, hey, this is not really fun for anybody. I mean, there's certain situations where it might be interesting if it's like super, super short, but when you're like, okay, you guys go for 15 minutes, then I will stand my character up, and then you guys go for another. It's like, ah.
And when you stand up, you're not fully healed either, are you? I think you're just
I think you have to like rest or something like that, or sit in space and rest.
It's rough.
But yeah, I was like, oh man. And I mean, I love Ameritrashy style games, but I still want games. My favorite games are the ones that are in between, that make you think, let you make a cool engine or collect some cool resources, build things up, and then attack people with them. Like, I don't know. Right. It's kind of weird.
I think that's what Champions of Midgard is so good. It takes a lot of those elements you just mentioned, even though it's a little bit more on the Euro-y side. It's got that feel to it where it's like, I'm a Viking and I've got better dice now, and I'm going to go kill. I love the way they do that, and that's about the only one I can think of like that has that dice element to it that's done in a way where they'll go, it's dice in my Euro. Get out of here with your dice in my Euro stuff. Like, people seem to really.
I love that though.
Maybe it's because I've only played it with Valhalla though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of rough, like, when you lose a combat, but it's like, hey, listen, life is not completely perfect information. Like, actual life, you don't have perfect information. It's risk management. And I think a lot of times people don't do risk management properly. I don't know. It's like, hey, get enough guys in there so you can win the battle. Don't take, like, two and take too much of a risk. Then you'll roll bad, you know?
Yeah,
hey, get enough reroll tokens before you go out on your mission.
He'll need a 6 in a game. He's like, I can get that with one dice. He's like, you can get that with one dice. It just really improbable. Improbable. But yeah, that's Xayah is like a game that's like 100% risk management. It's like, yes, you can do this and you can do that, but hey, be careful. If you fly through an asteroid, it's like, who was it? Like Hans, like, never tell me the odds. Yeah. Sometimes you might want to think about the odds before driving through an asteroid field. I mean, you could get lucky. You could also explode. Right. Very, very badly.
Awesome, man. Well, what drove you to the desire to like start doing reviews and making your own like board game videos and like becoming part of the Dice Tower?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, man.
What? I completely went the opposite way from what we were talking about. But what decided to make you want to start making board game media, doing reviews, and doing stuff on the Dice Tower channel? Because I know you did Token Punch, Throat Punch Lunch or whatever for a while and stuff like that as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm OG, man. About the throat punch.
I know. I mean, who was I talking to? Oh, I was talking to Mike, and I was just like, I still say throat punch. When we're not
comes out so much faster, yeah. I feel like this whole section is just going to be blurred out now from us saying.
Yeah, it's like redacted.
Every time we say it, you should censor it. We're on stage for a living constantly, so I'm always talking, and I love to talk and stuff like that. And so, getting in front of a camera, which is one of those things where I thought I had in my mind, well, I love games, I love board games, I love that sort of stuff, and I just want to talk about them to an audience who wants to hear about them as much as I want to talk about them. And now Carl is into gaming, and our friends are into gaming, but that gave me a chance to just really take a game and talk about it. And again, you can go back and watch the early Bryan Drake videos. They're really bad. In fact, to this day, I left them up. Even on the ones that are on the Dice Tower. And I think there's one that has a 45 to 150 up to down ratio.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it's my Terraforming Mars video, and it's just a lot of, because I'm always trying to try new things. There's an old school cooking TV show that really gave my inspiration called Goodies. It's got a Mountain Brown, and he's always doing cool camera angles and things like that. He's inside of the microwave. So I was like, well, let me take a little bit of that and bring it to the board game hobby.
So you did a video from inside a microwave on board games?
No, not on that one. Now, this one I was trying out a different camera with a 50 millimeter lens, and it was really close and really blurry, and it just didn't work. And so I agree with my critics. It was bad, but I left it up. I was like, no, I want the shame to be there for when I can go like, see, here's the good video though. You can enjoy this. But, I started doing, I think I just reached out to Tom. I think I just on a whim said, hey man, I'm on stage all the time. I love to talk. Here's a sample. Let me show you this. And I'll send him just what would be the first episode of Token Punch or Throw Punch Launch at the time of my segment. And just say, hey, what do you think? He's like, sure. Yeah, we'll slot you in. And so I did several weeks of that, 5 minutes at a time. And then I sent him a message, hey man, I know you're not always looking for reviewers and you're not actively looking right now just because of a lot of content, all that sort of stuff. This was a couple years ago. I said, but here's, I'd love to if it ever works out. And then he messaged me back. He said, well, send me some stuff. And so I think I sent him a review, and he's like, okay, cool. We'll just start kind of slotting some reviews in and stuff like that. And so we probably do anywhere between 6 and 8 a month now, just because about 2 weeks or so ish. And I like it because it's also one of those things where everybody gets in, and this from doing Epic Gaming Night, people go, hey, if I get into board game media, I'm going to get a bunch of free stuff, right? And so that shouldn't
be like your drive to do it.
I'd be lying if in the back of my mind somewhere I thought, well, maybe one day these will come, And so,
and then Tom sends you a pile of crappy games, and then you're regretting every decision you ever made.
Yeah, I'm looking at a few right now, and I'm like, I don't want to play that. So there's that. Yeah, that's the ugly side of it too. You got to do all the games out there. So it just kind of evolved in more from there. I love talking about it. I love giving thoughts about gaming, and hopefully, and you've probably seen this too when you would do reviews and things like that. A lot of people and you'll get comments because I do a lot of positive reviews in a row, and then I'll do several negative reviews in a row. It just happens that way. It just happens.
Yeah.
I just gave a subtext. I just gave it a 4. Actually, the new drawing game.
I played that game and I knew I didn't like it, and I went to your review and I was like, I was working, so I was like, I'm gonna watch Brian's review real quick. I fast forward to your thoughts and you didn't like it. And I'm like, yes, Brian doesn't like it. I was so happy.
I did it. I was like, is it me? Am I doing this wrong?
We played that one live and we were just like, nope.
No, I just don't get it. Like, maybe it works. Is it a translation thing? Maybe it works in other languages better. I don't know, but it just did not work for many different groups of different people we played it with. I'm like, maybe I'm just stupid. That's probably what it is. I mean, to be fair, that could be the case. But and so people say, why don't you do a bunch of negative reviews? I'm like, well, because when I do reviews, I try to give the philosophy of, even if I don't like a game, I always try to say this. Hey, if you like this, you'll probably like this game. There have been very few where I'm just like objective, like this is a bad game. I can't even think of. There's one I think I gave. I was just, this is just not good. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't do what it sets out to do, and so a negative review from me doesn't sound like this game's trash. I'm not a what they call edgelord humor guy. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not like running down the game. I'm not like trashing it, but I'm just like, hey, you don't like this, it doesn't work for me, but it might work for you, sort of thing. And so that's what we try to shoot for when it comes to that.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think your mic? I think there's a little bit of crackling and stuff going on with it. I'm not sure if there's a way to.
It's these headphones. I think.
A way to.
I'll tell you what. Give me one second. This would be great airtime. I'm just gonna get up. Like I'm gonna turn it towards the game shelf for a second. Look at that.
All right, let's judge all of Brian's games now, chat. So he's got Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. Nice. Tiny Towns.
Let's judge Brian.
He's still got Catan, man. Brian rolls old school.
Well, sure, that's Carla. Carla's got that there, not me, because I to this day.
Brian hates Catan, and he judges that it's on his shelf. That's what we learned today. He's got Root. I just played that for the first time the other day. I played as the cats, and it was not even close. I wrecked. But I guess the cats are the easiest to play, as everybody says. But they still shouldn't have let me win.
But still, you shouldn't wreck that hard.
I had like twice as many points as everybody else, and I think it was like 15 to like my 30. So
I know this makes me sound like a board game hipster, but that really should be on this shelf over here. That's one of my personal favorite games.
Back down to the bottoms of the list. Are these still in like top 100 order? You're getting like spoilers.
I think they're top 100-ish. Let me plug in this mic, see if it'll work a little better, and I'll just switch to where I'm just using the headphones for this.
Oh, sweet.
Sorry, that's a little swivelly there. Let me switch the settings. If it'll let me switch mid-call. If not, I'm just going to have to yell at the screen. This is great airtime, guys.
That's cool. I'll just crop it in the thing. Should be good. How many minutes in? We're like little ways.
Let's see. What about... So that's coming through the Yeti now. Is that right?
That sounds nice.
Is it nice and buttery?
Yeah, so...
Is that a phrase?
All right, let's start over. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So this is Bryan.
Exactly. Awesome, man. I don't even know where we were. Chat got me all distracted.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We were we mentioned? We were talking about philosophy and how you do reviews and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Just because it's one of those things you don't get to answer on a review. I feel like it's the this is a Wendy's ma'am meme at that point when I'm like going off on a tangent in one review to talk about a philosophy in gaming.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we were talking about negative reviews a bit. I mean, it's always interesting when you get the feedback of like, I mean, sometimes people take it a lot harder on you if you do a negative review and it's actually like a game that a lot of people like. But if it's a game that like a lot of people are like, no, that's a bad game, then everybody's cheering you on. It's kind of interesting, you know? So, I mean, I always try to when a game is like, I know this other people will like it, but it's not for me. It's just kind of like, right. You know.
This is a terrible game, but I don't want to say it's that terrible because I'm a nice person. Because I feel like, no, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's one of those things where, there is a, you know, and this is one of my hobby horses too. I'm weird. I'm a board gamer. I'm weird, and I'm pretty sure I can extrapolate that out to a lot of people in board games. We're weird folks. We spend a lot of money on cardboard bits, and so it's hard sometimes to judge how people are going to take something. So if I say a game is bad, some people extrapolate that out too. That's an indictment of the board game designer. I'm like, no, that person's probably a wonderful person. I just don't like what they did with this particular mechanic.
They should just like play test more. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah, really. I mean, I'm not navigating their personal finances, their whatever their background decisions. I'm just talking about.
And I mean, honestly, for us, like, I feel like as a reviewer and people that edit reviews, aka me, since I don't review as much anymore, it's like we're trying to get information out there to consumer. I mean, It's all nice and good and cool to be friends with the designer or the publisher or things like that, but really when it comes down to the end, it's like, hey, we're here to try to, like, other gamers like us, other people that enjoy board games, we're trying to get information out there to you, and hey, this didn't work for me for this reason or that reason, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Like, I want to tell people about the game that I either really enjoyed playing or maybe not so much enjoyed playing. You know, at that point, I just want to talk about that particular game experience that we just had. And honestly, that's really where it all came from for us, was the idea of I just want to talk about this experience we just had. And again, that came from Mansion's second edition. I think it's the first one I ever really, really did. It's not even on the Dice Star. It's pre that. Just because it was such a cool thing, you know, you're doing this digital thing, plus and it's funny, people are always like, I don't like digital getting in my games. Like, yeah, I remember having Clue, the VHS game, like back in the day. So it's always been there. It's just not necessarily the same form. You know what I mean?
And I mean, I set that game up over the weekend, and it's crazy how fast you can just jump into that game. Like, I've set games up and put pieces all over the place and put all these bits, but how involved that game is, the fact that you can just, like, lay out a starting tile, grab your characters, get your starting items, you're good to go, is pretty amazing. The fact that the app just takes all that, like, struggle away. I played Mansions of Madness first edition, so
oh my lord, it's a 45-minute setup at least.
Yeah, I mean, that was a game that you would have to set up before your friends came over. You have to play it at your house, set it up, read the rule book 5 times to make sure you didn't put anything in the wrong place. Because if you put something in the wrong place, it would ruin the game. Over. Yeah, I mean, it was a blast and it was still fun. But
yeah, I love the tangible puzzles. That's still one of my favorite things ever. Was the actual physical.
How do you like the puzzles in the app now?
I do like it, because I always like playing those kind of mini games anyway, and so seeing those kind of. I really like the my favorite one, and I'm not that great at it, but it's the mastermind puzzles, I guess. You'd call them. I love those, man. Those are fantastic, and I think there's a new one coming in the new one, some sort of twisting. Cylinder puzzle sort of thing or something like that, which I'm up for anything like that.
How strict are you guys on the rules of like helping each other out and stuff like that?
See,
I think we took Mansions of Madness first edition rules where it's like, hey, if your character's in the same room, if you're not in the same room, you can't say anything. But if your characters are in the same room, you can help each other solve the puzzle. Is what we did.
It's one of those things where it depends on how bad we're doing.
It's cooperative.
Andy, come over here, solve this one for us, man. That's like with time stories. And I won't say specifically because there are people who are still going to go and get time stories the very first mission and enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a moment at the end where it says, "Do you want to do this thing?" And we're like, "Yeah, we'll do that thing." And you get a card and it says, "You lose." And I was like, "Oh, man!"
You're a terrible person, Brian. Brian, you're a terrible person. Is all I can say.
We're like, who knows? Maybe this is a good thing. And what we did was we were like,
what my friends did.
Reads it.
I said, this is meta enough. I feel like my friends saw that and they're like, no way, not happening. It's not going to happen. And one of my friends even said, hey, if you guys do that, I'm literally leaving right now. It's like, ain't nobody touching that demon voodoo. So
that's right. And so what we do is he turned over the card and he goes, let's just say we didn't do that. I was like, you're on. I'm just going to say we didn't do that.
Listen, it's about the experience. It's about the experience.
That's all about the experience in gaming. It's not about the win or lose or the rules for that matter. But yeah, it depends. Like we're strict sometimes, and then other times we're like, "Hey, what do you think this puzzle is? Can you come do this sliding puzzle for me? Because I can't do this. Just delegate it to someone else."
Nice. So do you like? I don't know. I'm a weird person. Like, I guess everybody probably does it. Like, whenever you put up content, are you always like trying to see what people say about it and like checking out all the comments and feedback and all that stuff? I try to interact a little bit on there.
I try to interact anytime there's a positive comment. I always try to interact, and I have to very, very strictly restrain myself from being snarky when it comes to a rude comment. There are sometimes I'm like, I can't resist. I have to answer this. You know what I'm saying? And other times I'm just like, yeah, they've got a valid point. This is, the lighting or the audio or crackly mic or something like that. And that happened recently. I was like, yeah, I got to own it. I got to own it when it's something I can fix. When it's something I just disagree with, I'm just like, let me answer this real quick. Yeah, I do. I neurotically check. And that's probably some sort of like clinical neurosis. Like, oh, he's got some sort of, what do you call it? Adonis disorder or whatever. He's got to see what people are saying about him. But I do. I just always check because, again, I like to interact because a lot of times somebody will ask a question. And I always hate it when I'll scroll back through some of the older videos, especially the highlights ones like that are a little bit, I guess, more viewers and things like that. And I always feel bad when someone asks a question like a month ago and I didn't answer.
Whatever. I looked at something and somebody asked a question like 3 years ago, and I'm like, I guess it's too late to answer now.
They're like, never mind. My whole collection burned down. I quit gaming.
Oh,
my bad. Yeah, I do that though. I do check for comments and check for views and things like that. It's interesting because you want to walk that tightrope of stay out of the YouTube comment section, and then you're like, what did he just say?
yeah. Oh man, I always think it's interesting, and it's fun to see. Like, I don't know, there's a lot. I mean, everybody always talks about all that stuff being super negative, but there's a lot of positive stuff out there too. And anybody who is creating something, if they keep doing it, I feel like they'll find their niche and like they'll find their tribe of people that likes their stuff. Because I'm sure there's tons of people that are out there like, I love Brian's reviews, and you've had people come up to you when you've gone to these different conventions and talk to you about all that stuff, I'm sure.
Oh, it's the best when someone goes, "Hey, I like your content." I'm like, "Well, thank you." You know what I'm saying? Because here's what's funny. Um, we've been on the road as magicians, for a decade now. Um, 100 plus thousand people a year we're in front of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never once, never once anywhere at a Walmart, at a Target, at anywhere has someone come up to me and be like, "Hey, Brian, you're that guy. You're the magician, right?" Never once, and that's cool. I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, about a year and a half ago, we were in a Target, 2 minutes from where we're doing our show.
Yeah, yeah.
Dressed, hair's up, everything's ready. And somebody goes, "Hey, are you Brian Drake?" I was like, "Yeah." I was fully expecting to be like, "Oh, I'm going to go see you at the show." And I was like, "Hey, I really like your board game content." I was like, "Yes, this is the greatest day ever." I was like, someone actually noticed from elsewhere. It was just funny because it's the only time it's ever happened there. Convention stuff is different because they're there for that purpose. But I was like, this is great. So, but yeah, it is fun because you get people. You go, oh, people actually are watching. They're not doing because I don't know what the algorithm is. I don't know if YouTube's like 2 seconds. That's a view. We're done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
don't know if people are actually taking in the content.
And like half the time you're just standing in front of a camera in your garage or in your game room or whatever, and it doesn't
Right.
it's like you're doing the work, you're editing the thing together, and you're putting it up on the internet, and you're seeing comments, but it doesn't actually feel real until like people actually come up to you in person, or like, oh hey, like this thing and that thing, and it's really funny because I was talking to Mike about it, but it's like so interesting when people come up and they know so much about you. It's like
Right.
I know your favorite games, Brian, because I watch all your reviews. I know what kind of games you like, what kind of games you don't like, and maybe even some inside jokes from this or that.
Right.
But you don't know them at all. So it's just kind of like,
That's the worst part.
and it's like they're already friends with you, but you don't know who they are, and it's really cool because it like fast lines friendships and relationships with these people because you can automatically be like, oh man, they already know me, they know I like this, and we talk about this and that, and you can immediately
Right.
just have a connection through board gaming, through your content, through the stuff that you make, because you both have a mutual thing that you like together,
Absolutely, and honestly, that helps me because I'm really comfortable on a stage. I'm very very very
Yeah, yeah.
comfortable in front of people, but one on one, I'm not really great. Like I'm when you're asking about me one on one, I'm not great. Like it's harder because I'm having to answer questions about me, but I can ask people questions about them all day, and so that actually helps because they already know the information about me. So I can just be like, boom, what kind of games do you like? Blah blah blah. So it kind of puts the pressure of the conversation off of me at that point, and other people I'm sure are like that too, who prefer to not focus all the attention and conversation on them, so they can. I'm sorry, I saw a notation up here. The squirrel listens to the birds. I have no clue what that means, but it's a notification that just popped up on my. It's a news article. This is the news we're getting today.
There you go. Yeah, I'm always like in huge fear of like whenever someone talks to me, like I really want to make sure to like show like the same excitement and joy of gaming as I show like in my videos and things like that, because I don't want anybody's experience that you always hear about, like, oh man, this movie star, I love all his movies, but I go and talk to him or whatever, and he's not the same in real life. He's not like that person, like. And especially if somebody takes their time to like come up and talk to you about something, it's like, oh man, like I have to like at least figure out some sort of thing to talk to them about too that would like make them excited as well. So
Oh yeah, well, and it's funny you say that because I've seen it about Tom and other people like that. The just the smallest conversation makes such a huge impact.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You don't realize that. I guess it's such a cool thing, and so I guess making sure that moment of with anybody, whether you know them or not, is a good experience. Make that a positive, good experience. It's one of those things where because of the weird industry that we're in. As magicians, but even more so in the networking side of it, of trying to get hired, because in our industry, it makes it sound like I'm a shoe salesman or something like that. But in what we do, our niche is even smaller. No, sorry, our niche is smaller, but our market is huge because we only work with churches and conferences and things and student ministry events and stuff like that. So the market is massive, but there's only about 30 of us. But still, there's this feeling of trying to make sure that you're getting booked and things like that. And so a lot of times young artists, and I went through this phase as well, you'll have a conversation with somebody only as long as you can find out if they're going to help you or not. And then you're just like, I'm done with you, and you move on. And so seeing that in the hobby is always frustrating too. And it's like, oh, You can watch people and they want to talk to somebody until they figure out, oh, I'm not going to get a free game out of this. Well, I'm done with this conversation. I'm not going to get some sort of perk or something. It's always weird. I'm like, well, just be nice to people. Just talk to people. You know what I'm saying? As a person, not as a how can this person benefit me sort of thing. It's everywhere. It's not just in Magic or board game. Apparently that happens everywhere, but it's just one of those things to kind of sit back and watch and go, huh, that's interesting how people interact with other people on something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I love the whole building relationships aspect of like board game media and doing board game stuff. Cause I mean, it's just cool to have more people to play games with. I like growing the hobby and things like that. So I think it's a fun thing to do.
Absolutely. It's just nice to see it in such a mainstream position right now. It's all over the place. Walmart's game section now looks like what Target used to look like when everybody's like,
which
whoa,
is insane.
Target game section's amazing. Yep, it's crazy. And so it's good to see that and good to have that kind of healthy industry going. I was talking to Bonacore on that when I did the interview with him on the Dice Tower, and he was like, the bubble's not shrinking no matter what people say. The bubble is still expanding, whether it be slower or faster. It's still growing, and I think it's going to continue to do so because of that face-to-face interaction you get.
For sure.
Oh my gosh, we're in such an insular community nowadays where I only follow people who think like me or act like me or talk like me or look like me, and it's like, dude, just get out and meet people in real life. It doesn't matter what any kind of backgrounds are, whatever, social, political, economic, whatever. Just sit down and play a game with somebody, and it's amazing how fast those walls and barriers just don't exist. Not that they fade away. They just don't exist. They're just gone. And you realize, oh, the internet's not real life in a sense. You know what I'm saying? It helps. It helps what we do, obviously getting that content out there to people. But when you meet people in person and you sit down and play a game with them, you go, oh, I remember how I used to get along with people who irritated the mess out of me in elementary school. Now it's kind of like that in real life where you would have thought if you looked at me and some of our friends at our game group, there's no way they can sit down and play a game together. We love it. Have the greatest time, good friends, close friends, all this sort of stuff. It's amazing how that face-to-face interaction can do that to people. And it's honestly, this is probably the best catalyst for it because you're having fun. You have something to talk about. You're talking about the game that you can kind of tangentially relate to other things in life. So you're not having to focus the conversation. When we have new people over at our house, we try to slip in a game, whether they've never played a game before, for that reason. Because it's like, hey, this way the conversation's not just like, oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, right. You do that? I know nothing about that, so I can't offer anything. So it's like, hey, you got to take those cubes to get that card. It's kind of, it's just, sorry, I'm rambling, but it's one of those things that I'm passionate about when it comes to people actually meeting face to face. It's so much better and so much more fun.
And it's fun because you can find people from all sorts of walks of life. Like everybody loves gaming, and it's cool to see like the community come together and try to be as inviting as can. Because I mean, honestly, like we all just want more people to game with, no matter where you're from, what you're into. It's just really cool the more people we have do this together, the more we can learn from each other. So I think it's really cool.
Exactly. Which is why it's funny when you see like Critical Role or some of those things. You're like, wait a minute, that celebrity loves playing D&D. It's like it's funny because it's like there's someone who's your ally or your advocate in a different aspect. It is cool, having that. Just like you said, more people to play games with at home.
And it's funny, the more of that happens, the more it's just going to continue to grow and get bigger. It's kind of crazy. And the more people will have to play games with. So
yeah, absolutely. I routinely, actually, if we're in Target or Walmart or Barnes & Noble or somewhere like that, at just a mass market store, I always walk through the game section just to see kind of what people are looking at and if they're looking at the hobby games and stuff like that. And I'm always like, I'm not gonna like just insert myself in it and say I feel like I want to sometimes, but it's like, oh man, they picked up this copy of that board game. I just really want to be like, let me tell you about all these games on the shelf. Like pitch every single one of them to you. This one's great because of this. This would be great with your grandma. Like I don't know. Do you work here, sir? No, but you need to try this game.
I used to work at Target, but we didn't have nearly as many. I mean, we were starting to grow like the games that we had, but like we didn't have nearly as many. I remember freaking out like when I started seeing Catan in Targets. I was like, what, Catan? This is crazy. This is a whole new thing. I mean, it's gone so far from that. I mean, and D&D's gotten so huge too. Like I used to run D&D at game stores and I never thought like it would be as big as it is now. It's like
mainstream.
Yeah, they're just selling like polyhedral dice at Targets now. They can just buy sets of dice. And at Barnes & Noble, you can just buy dice. And I'm just like, you used to have to go to like the corner, like like at this crazy like game store.
Hey, come here, kid. I guess
exactly. It's good stuff,
That's
man.
exactly right. It's mainstream stuff like that. I mean, things like Stranger Things and things like that help it, of course, but it's just cool. It's fun to see that. Of course, it always is interesting when they do a commercial. You can tell the marketing person in a commercial doesn't play like strategy board games and things like that because they're like, we're having game night. And it's like an insurance commercial, and they're like, hey, sorry. And I'm like, no, stop that. You know that's not what – you didn't even do any research. You just like –
You should actually feel sorry for this commercial.
That's it. You should market that, man, for the Dice Tower.
There you go. Nice. So are there any other cons or anything you're going to this year, man? I know you're so busy with your work schedule.
Yeah. This year, I don't know. I know we'll be back. We're going to the cruise. I know that, and then hopefully we'll make something earlier in the year coming up next year. Because man, we had a blast at Dice Tower Con, even just for the little. I think we were there for like a day and a half at most, and it was just fun getting to be there and see everybody. So hopefully we'll get to do that again.
Dude, man, the cruise is going to be ridiculous
this year. Love to make it out too.
It's going to be ridiculous.
It's
so ridiculous
good.
every year.
I know. Jason didn't ask us to plug it, but oh my gosh, if you can go on the cruise, go on the cruise. It is phenomenal just for all the gaming, but just the cruise side of the stuff too. Of course, he'd be happy if we plugged it. He'd be like, thank you guys for plugging that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's crazy because, I mean, I know it's like super expensive, and I wouldn't be able to go to something like that if I wasn't in the position that I'm in because it's pretty cost prohibitive, but save your pennies because it's literally like the best gaming thing I've ever gone on. It's like...
Well, it's a 2-for-1 too. It's a gaming convention and a vacation.
Right. And there's just buffets everywhere. So
all over the place. It's like 2 a.m. You want a whole pizza? And I think I want 2 whole pizzas. Good. I got you covered.
I literally did that. We were playing Battlestar Galactica. I'm like, I'm getting a little hungry. Does anybody want pizza? And I just went up and was like, got a plate. And I was like, can I have both those pizzas? And they're like, sure. They just gave me like 2 whole pizzas. It's like, holy smokes. And I just brought down, I was like, hey, anybody want pizza? And they're like, we guess we won't throw you out the airlock this turn. Maybe next turn.
That's right. So. That's exactly right. Lo and behold, you were a Cylon, but they didn't know that at that point. That's how I've seen you play. I've seen you play like 3 different games besides the ones we've played together at cons, and both times it's been Battlestar Galactica, I think, and Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. I've always wanted to play that. Is that good? Like, I obviously it's good. You always play it, but
I mean, I like Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. Now, I actually played a 8-player game of it at the retreat, and everybody asks, does it go up to 8 players? It does if I say it does. But the actual game only goes up to 7 players, but they have a 6-player map, and then you can put like a floating island on it, which is in the Pestilence expansion. Well, Tom has his Pestilence expansion in the Dice Tower library, and I have my own Pestilence expansion. So I brought a second floating island. We played with 2 floating islands. We played a 8-player game of Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. It's a 4X game. You like Twilight Imperium, so it's got all the exploring, expanding, exploiting, exterminating stuff, building up your resources, building up an army, going out and doing things. We played an 8-player game of this in 4 hours with 7 new players.
That's really good, Tom. Wow, that's incredible. Is it meant to be played that fast? I mean, like, does it play fast?
It plays like 30 minutes per player. I'll play like a 5-player game in like around 2 hours, like a little bit more than 2 hours, and that's with like teaching time. Granted, I know this game like the back of my hand, so I could probably. When I walk up to Gambling Games like booth at cons, they're teaching Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea to people. They stop who they're teaching and point to me and say, this is Roy. He's played the game more than anybody. And I'm like, yo, you're the publisher. You shouldn't say that I played the game more than you, but also thank you.
They'll be like, wait, how does this work again?
Exactly. No, we played at Gen Con. And they were going. There's like tokens in the bag. There's exploration tokens, kind of like Distant Suns, but not nearly as insane.
That's what I was going to say.
It's not nearly as insane as Distant Suns because there's not stuff that's like blow up your whole army. Oh, right. But anyway, but it's really good stuff. But we were playing at Gen Con. We played a 7-player game with the publisher. I played a 7-player game with the publisher and my friends from Neverboard Gaming. But they kept trying to go back to the booklet to like tell what all the tokens did. I'm like, no, this does this and this does that. And like sometimes they check and they're like, Yeah, Roy's right. Yeah,
That's
Roy's
right.
right. I mean, like, I'm like, guys, I played this game, like,
I
but
know
no,
this
it's
game.
fun.
I want to check it out. I've got to get my hands on it sometime just to play it, or
Dude,
just
man,
to
if
make
you
it out
haven't
for
played
the
it by like the cruise or something like that, if you pull
it.
me aside, I will make
We'll
it
make it
happen because I can teach you like. So
You were the master of the air and sea, is what you're saying. And the
yeah,
land.
I mean, it's one of those games too. It's like I really like it. It's definitely a cost prohibitive game, because it's an expensive thing because it's all miniatures and all that stuff and all those little cardboard things. And I know it's hard for people to kickstart and back some of these games, but
But it looks good on the table.
I always said Twilight Imperium was my number one game for like the longest time because I love 4X. And
Right.
I played Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, and I played it and played it and played it. And eventually it was just like, I'm playing this over and over at every con. And I played Twilight Imperium once a year. So it's really hard for me to say that Twilight Imperium is my number one game if I play this game way more.
Right.
And it doesn't give me the same feel as Twilight Imperium just because,
Sure, but
you're not exploring space, but I am exploring fantasy terrain and interacting with other
Right.
people.
yeah, that is cool. That just the whole idea of it being in a 4X fantasy is nice too.
Mm-hmm.
But so basically, what you're saying is it blood raged, or it's your blood rage, like Sam's blood rage took out Twilight Imperium, which is still just a shame to me.
I know
Let
it
me
is
tell you
a
what.
shame.
I have never been madder. The game is called Blood Rage. I have never been madder at a game in my life than playing Blood Rage one time. I mean, I am a calm, cool, collected gamer, but I was so ready to flip the table the last time we played it. And these are my closest friends, so they could tell I was just like seething because I was like, "Why is this happening?" Here's what happened. I know you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. But there's apparently some cards that say if you're the loser, so I think it's the Loki card. If you're the loser, you get a benefit, right? Well, here's what's funny, and we went back and forth about this rule. They tied as winners, which meant technically I didn't get to be counted as the loser. This happened twice, so I got nothing for drafting these Loki cards multiple times, and I was like,
Wow.
yeah, I was ready to throw the whole game away. But I've come around and I decided that I want to play it again, just so I can have that same angry experience. But then I'm just moving on to Japan and Egypt at this point. I'm just like, no, I'm done.
There you go. I like Blood Rage. I think I liked Rising Sun too, but I still think I like the drafting and stuff in Blood Rage. But I played Blood Rage so many times. I know Sam's like it's infinitely replayable. I'm like, it's a drafting game. I kind of want to draft new cards eventually. I don't know why Mr. Eric Lang isn't making more cards for this game. I'm like, they'll sell like hotcakes. What's wrong with you? Don't you like hotcakes? But
he's like, no, but I like miniatures. So
it's like, hey, how many expansions are there for Seven Wonders? Like, come on, it's a drafting game. You know what you do in Magic the Gathering when you draft? You don't draft the same set over and over again. You draft new sets. Like, come on, let's do this. Give me.
That is true. Because you could drop in just a deck. You can sell.
Oh yeah, I don't even care about more monsters or miniatures or anything. It's just like, come on.
Yeah.
Nobody agrees with me, but I love that game. But yeah,
That's a good point.
Have you ever gotten to that point in a game where it's kind of like you've played it so many times you really like it, but you've played it,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's a couple on my shelf right now. I'm just like, yeah, we could get that out, or not, or we could play something else. Yeah. There's something we play because we always try to play the mess out of a game when we first play it, so that if the review is done just based on Carl and my opinion. Versus like 4-player count, 8-player count, 6-player count. At least we played it a ton when we play it, and so there's some that we've just not touched since we had our run of them back to back to back. We played the Colonists 3 times in a row, I think, one time. That we didn't play it straight through because that would have been 18 hours straight. We played.
Oh, right.
Just left it on the table and just kind of over the week and a half, 2 weeks we played it. Boom, boom, boom. But I love engine building games when it comes to stuff like that. So that's back there. But yeah, there are some that I can think of that I'm like.
Well, since we talked about like Twilight Imperium and the Colonists, like, what's your strategy for getting like these big games to the table?
Yeah. Well, so we have a group of we have a couple different groups. Actually, so our big game group does a monthly game night. We don't bring them there typically. When Carl and I are home in the middle of the week between dates, our 5-year-old is in kindergarten right now, and our 1-year-old will take a pretty good nap in the morning. So sometimes we'll have morning, play a game in the morning, some of that, when they go to bed. But the good thing is that our dining room table is high enough where the 1-year-old can't reach stuff on there yet. So we'll just leave out like the colonist or something like that and play a couple rounds. And so between just her and I playing, it's easy. But there are 4 guys who I had as junior high kids when I was a junior high youth pastor, and they're 24 now, 23, 24, and we call them our minions and they take that as a loving term. I'm just like, hey, we need to play this game. What time can y'all come over? And they'll be there. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter if it's Lord of the Rings.
Dress them up like minions while they are there.
I'll be honest with you. There's a
Put them in some overall.
Can you wear this? They probably would. They're such good dudes. They got such a good heart, and they'll play whatever. And so I'm like, hey, we got to play this game. It takes 6 hours. We've played Twilight Imperium with that group more than anybody else. Literally had a guy rage quit because he thought everybody was picking on him. Truth be told, he was just in such a good position where no matter who it was, the very move that he threw the cards and left our house with was going to happen, if not by the person who did it to him, then by my brother who's going to do it to him too. He just didn't know that yet. But because the dude who did it to him, whatever, I think he just moved in to take one of his planets. They're the 2 friends. They're really close, but they bicker all the time. And so because he did it, and he threw the cards and left, he storms out the car. You hear him, he gets out to the front door and he goes, you hear him come back up my driveway, and he opens the door. He's like, hey, I need you to move your car. And it was the guy. It's the guy who made him quit. He's like, I need you to move your car. It's like,
that's awesome.
The worst rage exit ever.
He's like, yeah, I'll move my car after the game's done.
That's right, dude.
And after you suffer the defeat of me taking your planet.
So we're just like, hey, we need to play this game. We'll throw it on the table, and they'll be over, and I'll have to teach it to them and play it. But honestly, we have a great opportunity in that sense that we have a good, healthy monthly game night with friends. We'll typically play lighter stuff. We've been playing Just One lately. I love that. It's one of my favorite party games. But when it comes to heavier stuff over at our house, we have friends over. If we're home, we'll try to have somebody over once a week at least, and just to throw down some games. Yeah, that's the easy. What about typically?
Sweet. Well, we're coming up right on that 1 hour mark. So just give us a brief moment to tell us what you got going on and like what you've been working on, what you're gonna have coming up in the future. Just tell us a little bit about what's going on with Bryan.
Yeah, no. So we just started our new new tour. It's a new show ish. Some new routines and stuff like that. We still do some of our classic stage stuff that we love doing. We've been putting together a bunch of new routines for our show. So if you get to come check out our show, it's the website's BryanDrakeShow.com. You can see kind of where we're going to be all over the fall and stuff like that in the spring. If we're going to be in your town, please shoot me a message and say, hey, I'd love to come check out your show. Every show we do is, for the most part, is free. They're free to get in. So if we're in your area, shoot me a message. Let's get together. Hopefully, if we have time, we'll throw down a game or something like that. But and then we're constantly just all over the place with that. And my mind is blanking right now because I'm leaving tomorrow. We're going to Tennessee, and then we come back home from Tennessee. And the very night we come home, we fly out to Colorado for the weekend. So it's a crazy week ahead, but it's going to be a good week. But gaming wise, sticking to grinding nose to the grind reviews. We're even kicking around the idea of possibly designing game. I know that's not something you just go, oh, we're just going to design a game in a light way, but we've got this idea that we're kicking around that we'd love to see come to light one day. And so if it happens, if not, no worries too. But
first step, make a prototype. Second step, realize how it's broken.
Like, well, this is garbage. I'm out of here.
No. Yeah. The third step is reiterate, and then reiterate, and then reiterate, and then reiterate. What is it like? They always say, like, fail fast so that way you can figure out how to fix things. So it's like, hey, if it's just kicking around your head, then you can't really figure out if it really works, right? So
that's a good point.
Which I'm kind of weird. Like, I do a lot of it in my head and then try to do it right the first time. It's been working out.
That happens. I mean, you can do it like that because if you've got that kind of analytical brain where you can see the downside of things, of course, you need those fresh eyes to go, yeah, but that sucks. And you go, Oh yeah, that does suck. I really didn't think about that.
It's interesting. Like the more games you play, the more it's like, like you can play test mechanics in your head. I don't know if other people do that, but you're just like, is it this sort of thing? I don't really like the feel of that. And it's like, I haven't done anything. I just thought up like this or that. It's like, could I see this rolling dice, or should there be some cards, or like what should be happening?
Of course, you can see that when you do reviews before you pick up a game to review it. If you've done a cursory glance at the rule book, I've almost got an idea of how this is going to play and how it's going to be on the table if the rulebook's done in the right way, and to where my opinion rarely changes from an experience. There are a few times we've had surprises like that, but it's the same kind of thing where you can just do it up here and go, all right, I think I know how this is going to shake out. And so with prototyping, that probably helps you, especially with getting that stuff out there too.
Well, that's awesome. So, and y'all are going to be doing a top 100s of too?
Yeah, I think so. Tom had asked me to do it for the Kickstarter earlier in the year. He's like, he told me in January, he's like, hey, you know how we do those stretch goals that nobody really cares about? He's like,
way to bring it up too.
I was like, yep, that's fine. I know my place. I have no problem with that at all.
Listen, I asked him, and he's like, oh, yeah, people really care about these stretch goals. And behind the scenes, he's probably like, nobody cares about Roy's Top 100. Hey, listen, I saw like one comment that's like, yay, we made the Roy's Top 100. This was a while back. But
that's all that matters, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do that sometime, probably December 31st. We'll just rock it. No, I'm just kidding.
Now it's like, hey, can we make it to the stretch goal where Roy gets to keep his job? It's like, come on, guys. Yeah. We can make it.
So much more this year, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you came in, you had just come in, right as the Kickstarter was about to be live. Yeah, now it's like, what can we do to kick this thing even out? But it does so great. And people, the Dice Tower fans, I say fans, but community is so great anyway.
I feel like we have that's one thing that I've always loved about like the Dice Tower is like there's so many people, and it's really just about gaming and talking about games together. We don't add anything too fancy to it or whatever. It's just like we want to bring this community together, and we want to be friendly together. So I think it's fun.
No, I agree. That's what I love about the dice. That's what attracted me in the first place. Same.
Awesome, man. Well, I hope to see you soon. I guess I'll see you in January, if not before then.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. Maybe we'll be throwing down some plastic on some terrain in Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea or something like that.
That does sound like a good plan.
I might even let you play on top of the floating island if you're.
That's what I want to do. Like I see it every time. Gee, that looks so cool.
Listen, I played on top of the floating island, and everyone attacked me because they wanted to be on the floating island. The last game I played, the dude on the floating island, nobody bothered him the whole time. And everybody's like, well, the floating island, people just ignore it sometimes because they don't realize that's part of the game. I'm like, not true. When I'm on the floating island, they kill me.
It's an island. They want to kill me when I'm on the island. When he's on the island, no one cares. Like,
exactly. Anyway, that was a sidetrack. So, it's definitely been awesome having you on, man. It's been a blast.
Oh, thank you.
If anybody wants to check these out, these are live on the Dice Tower the week afterwards, but we actually stream them on the Facebook group for the Dice Tower. So make sure to join the Dice Tower Facebook group, and you can check these out live. Join us in chat. There's been tons of people chatting. I try not to break up the podcast too much because it's a conversation, but everybody loves Bryan, so everybody's super
Have
stoked
they been
about
negative
that.
on here? Do I need to
Yeah, they're all saying, like, I love the cruise and blah, 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 and Bryan's the worst, and I thumbs down all of Bryan's video. No one said that. I just typed that in just now. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so make sure to check those out. And it's fun having everybody there, and we love seeing you guys. And these are actually now up on iTunes as well. So if you want to search for Spaces Between, if you want to listen to some of these chats, we've had some awesome other people from the Dice Tower. We had Mike DeLisio and Randy and Ellen, and we just had Jerry Hawthorne on the show last night. And next week, we're going to have Mark Street on the show too. So we're going to have tons of awesome people. I'm going to try to have like a designer maybe once a month and things like that. And we're going to try to have people from outside of the Dice Tower and mostly people inside the Dice Tower just so we can help build this community even better. So, and we got to know Bryan a little bit tonight, for better or for worse.
That's right. The spaces between. Are you gonna do that?
That's how the outro goes exactly. I should play that right now so we don't have to listen to that anymore. Thanks, Bryan. You're the best. Bye.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate you, man. See you.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.